Hey, welcome back everybody. Today we're talking about the secret update, and could it include cars? Question mark. Well, there's a distinct possibility, and we are talking about Rust Console Edition for the PlayStation 4, the Xbox One, next generations, and everything in between. And I'm Jade Monkey. Okay, so as I said, cars are definitely a distinct possibility. I should say they were always a candidate for the secret update, but I think it's increased substantially with some of the activity that we've seen recently, and also with some other activity we've seen prior. So we're going to go over that, but first we're going to cover why you should care about having the modular vehicles as an update. So regardless of whether or not this comes in with a secret update, there's enough movement on this that I think it's going to be happening soon. So whether it is the update or whether it's coupled with something else, I think this is going to be very much a part of our future very, very soon. Okay, so breaking this down, first thing we're going to get out of this is this beautiful, rusty, crusty Junkyard. And also, we have a recycler here, and a green card, but more importantly, there's this fancy boy right here. Has a magnet on the end, and yes, you can get in here with low grade, turn it on, grab some of these bad boys, and throw them in this giant wood chipper, and it spits out things like scrap, high quality metal fragments. You can even grab somebody's hoopty and do the same thing. So while some chads are up here recycling, you can take their hoo-ride and throw it in the old wood chipper and take their stuff and say bye. It's a fantastic move. By the way, don't go back to your base directly, because that's going to be a good way to get raided. But hey, still pretty funny. Also, there's many different ways to now get yourself around the map. So yes, we do have horses now, but I mean, they're cute, they're good, don't get me wrong. Like, we definitely need horses because we don't have any ground transportation other than that, but this will be the other option. But this is more important because you can customize it more, as the name entails, modular vehicles, but you can have different roles that come along with this. So yes, these will spawn randomly across the map. Hey man, you want to fight? Got him. So these will spawn randomly across the map. You can also craft different pieces and build your own vehicle if you like to. You can do things like take fresh water or salt water and move it back to your base using this water tanker. And this is a good way to store water, by the way, so for anybody doing those giant tea farms. You can make an armored bad boy to go into a raid, to go to the outpost, to do all sorts of things, to go out farming aggressively. Yes, it's as cool as you think it is. Like, look at this. Ready? And you can move this along the chassis any way you see fit. So you've got different configurations because this is procedural. So you can have like the back open up. You can add an extra engine on the back. It makes it like a just, again, modular. You can build it the way for your needs. And I think something like this is going to be pretty heady with running to the outpost. And also combined with this little guy here. We have the driving module in the front, yes. But the camper is more than meets the eye. Like, yes, the wood paneling is great, but if you look across, yes, you can set the bed location for yourself, so you can spawn here, yes. And there's a barbecue here, and there's even some loot storage, but there are locker access points here at the top. So if you get wrecked, right, just imagine your car is locked, you just spawn back in the car, pop a kit on, and jump back into the action. That works for raiding. That works for running to the outpost. That works for farming. And yes, you can take this thick boy on the front here and swap it out and then have the camper module in the back. So even if you do get clipped, you can just spawn and get back in the car and keep going. What a great way to roll up on a raid. Can you imagine coming in with one of these thick boys with the camper on the back? My goodness. Yes, it's going to be a little bit slow, but who cares, right? You're going to be beating cheeks before you know it. And this guy here, I don't know if I covered this, but this is basically Uber Eats, or Uber. This is a taxi module on the back. And yes, if you're locked in your car, you can actually make it so other people can get in. Even if your car is locked, this taxi module will be open to other people. But as my cursor has now betrayed me, if your passenger is being unruly, just give them the old boot. And they're gone. That'll eject them from the vehicle. You have the open cab here, which is great for being extra rowdy. You can literally stand back here and rip shots. It's a place to stand while the vehicle is moving legitimately and not get slid or pushed off. A slid and being pushed, I think that's kind of the same thing, isn't it? And more on the modular vehicle front, you can get different parts both at the outpost but also through research. You've got different configurations for different types of engines. Like obviously this is going to be a weaker engine because it's sitting in the front, obviously. But if you fly over here, I'm just trying to move this along here. This is a bigger engine that puts out more power, but you can stick better components inside of this bad boy to make it run even more efficiently and faster. So it'll be better on low grade, so on and so forth. So as I said before, there are ways to lock this bad boy. And here's another reason why we know this is coming, because one of the prerequisites or dependencies for this is electricity, because you need electricity for this lift. And this lift is a critical part of this operation. I know I've covered this before, but it's worth mentioning. When it's here, you can actively put it up and add a code lock. We'll just call it 6969. Don't tell anyone, okay? You can also remove locks in the same way, even if you don't know what the key code is. That's kind of hot. You can take people's stuff and just strip it. That's pretty cool, but this way people can't just jump in. But as I said before, there's a little thing here so you can basically unlock the doors, just like a real car. Pretty cool, huh? And if I remember how to do this correctly, oops, I gotta take out the engine parts for this to work. Boop, boop. But as we were talking about before, let's say you're a lonely solo, right? Which, you know, you've seen us do many times. But you need some protection to go to the outpost. So you have this steering module here, but it's armored. And then you want a little bit more speed because you're going to have some weight. Now you've got a steering front, respawn in the middle, and engine in the back. But you're like, oh, hey, that's cool and all, but like, what if people shoot at me? They're going to hit the engine and damage it as we go. Okay, good point. Good point. So let's do one of these. Let's do one of these. I'm going to put it right there. Boom. Now you're protected. But what's cool is you can switch positions in here, because you know how we have the swap seat like on the rowboat or the rib? You can just switch seats. It doesn't matter how far away everything is. So even if you get smoked, you can respawn here and go boop, 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 boop. Rowboat action, and then next thing you know, you're in the front. Bingo. And, oh yeah. Let's make this safe for solos, right? 69. With some of these engine pieces in here, these fancy boys. And we're off to the races, although I don't think I have the other stuff in here. Here, I'll just use the admin thing and make it. There we go. Now it works. Now we have a lot more health. We've got a lot of different ways to kind of drive this thing. Yeah, she's a bit on the slow side, but who cares? Literally, someone has to be standing in front of you with the most amazing shot. Even with a mouse and keyboard, it's a difficult shot. I mean, and if you're serpentine, dude, it's next to impossible. And even if they did, doesn't matter. You'll just spawn back in the hoopty, right? And by the way, when the car's locked, people can't take your fuel. Last time I checked, I don't know, I guess our version could be different. But you can start to see how this is definitely a massive piece. I mean, with our larger maps that we've seen now, our largest map is 4K. I think our average is 3.5 kilometers. Just so you know, this is a standard map size for PC. This map size is 4.25 kilometers squared. So we're only 2.5 or 250 kilometers, I'm sorry, 0.25 kilometers off of like the standard size. So, and to be fair, I don't think we need to get that big yet until we have things like transportation, mostly because okay, there we go. I started spawning stuff by accident. Mostly because our server pop is 100. Like, that's our cap. So when you have maps this large or larger, it gets hard to have like more interactivity, right? Because this game is based off of interactions, good or bad, right? You don't want to just be in isolation all the time. You want something to happen around you. So if it gets too big, it's too much. So another reason why we need to have more ground vehicles. Yes, we'll have more options with the submarines and the tugboat coming in. If you didn't know, that's a thing. But yeah, I think that's another massive reason why we need to see more ground transportation. You know, minis, hot air balloons, zip lines, I'm all for it. Okay, so on to why we're like, hey, this is definitely moving in that direction. So check this out. This happened semi-recently, and I guess if you want to see the full thing, you can. But there's been more movement here recently, like on testing branch now. As of recording this, we found some stuff deep in the laboratories that shows that cars are definitely still being worked on, and it's like more advancement. So if you'd like to see this, I'll go ahead and link that now in the upper right-hand corner, and I'll also include it on the end screen when we're done with this video. But essentially, it's a massive, massive tip of the old fedora to the cars. And we've seen this in the past. Hustle World was nice enough to show us his glitch screen, I want to say almost 2 years ago. And it actually showed a bunch of interface things. It's basically like Latin filler text, if you've ever seen that, like the lorem ipsum stuff. But this just has like 99, just to kind of show you like what the characters will look like, what the sizes and colors can be. But you'll notice right here, what's that say? Oh, that's weird. Armored passenger vehicle? That's odd, right? Weird. And we also know this too. When we actually had custom servers first come out, inside of the G portal option, I don't know if anybody saw this, we pointed out quite a few times during the live stream, but if you looked at the different map configurations as you like build it and do your selections and stuff, Junkyard was on there. Now we selected it, but it wouldn't spawn in at the time, obviously, so that was blocked. But it just shows you like those little cookie crumbs. Like you didn't see the cookies, but you knew somebody was munching on them. So you're like, ooh, there's cookies around, and I got some milk. So we know that's definitely going to be a thing. Not to mention, like, we know it was on that survey as well. So we know they're planning on doing this. And the sheer fact that, like, here, actually, let me show you this real fast before we wrap it. So if you've been on the testing branch, and this has since been fixed, if you're on there with the submarines when they first came out, they were real wiggly and kind of drifty. Kind of, what's the word? Too sensitive? Like this. Well, like, they're almost like this in the water. Does this look familiar? This back and forth? And it kind of slips, right? Huh. Weird. It's almost like it was the same model. I don't know if it was, but man, my spidey sensors are telling me it's pretty close. You remember it was like too sensitive and it would like just kind of drift and wiggle everywhere? Like I said, that's been fixed, but I just wonder if those didn't translate too well to analog. So I don't think it's an error on their side. I think it's just the difference between... remember, a keyboard is either on or off. Our analog is like, it can be shades of gray, if that makes any sense. But yeah, it was kind of that model back there. So it also points towards vehicles being worked on in the backgrounds. Just saying. So yeah, if you are down, hopefully we see you in the next live stream / video. And as we said before, if you want to see what that deep secret was in the laboratories, you can check that out on the end screen. And hopefully we'll see you in the next one, guys. Love you. Bye.